Unless you would like to quit here and now.
Absolutely not.
Dearest gentle viewers, it's kind of wild to think that it's been over 5 years since Bridgerton first swept us off our feet with Daphne Bridgerton and the ever-dashing Duke of Hastings. That first season back in 2020 really set the tone, not just for the steamy romance, but for the whole aesthetic of the show. But now the big question is whether Regé-Jean Page, who played the Duke, would ever come back to the series. After all, it's become somewhat of a tradition for earlier leads to make surprise appearances now and then. So what's his take on it? Well, when Entertainment Tonight caught up with him and asked if he'd consider stepping back into the Duke's boots, Page gave a polite but vague answer. He said he's happy for the cast and loves seeing everyone succeed, both in Bridgerton and with their other personal projects. But as far as a comeback, doesn't sound like he's rushing to the costume department anytime soon. He even added that it's not something he's really been thinking about. That being said, he didn't completely shut the door, which gives fans a tiny spark of hope. As for Daphne herself, Phoebe Dynevor has previously said she's still waiting on that call to return, so who knows? Maybe one day we'll see the Duke and Duchess back together for a special moment, but for now, it looks like both are off doing their own thing. Now moving to what Bridgerton fans are really buzzing about, Season 4. This time, the spotlight shifts to the charming Benedict Bridgerton and a brand new character named Sophie Baig. Sophie's played by Yerin, and if you're familiar with the books, you'll recognize this is the story from An Offer from a Gentleman. What makes their romance interesting is that it's a full-on class clash. Benedict grew up in privilege and high society, while Sophie's background is far from glamorous. She's been working as a lady's maid. So when these two fall for each other, it's not just about love, it's about navigating a relationship that the ton, the fancy high society crowd, probably won't approve of. Jess Brownell, the showrunner, has teased that this story will be one of the most intense yet. She explained that after 3 seasons of focusing on the glamorous upstairs world, it was time to dive into the more grounded, behind-the-scenes side of Regency life. So Season 4 is expected to give us a deeper look at the contrasts between social classes and how love fits or doesn't fit into all of that. Even though Sophie is in love, she's not about to give up her independence. Yerin has talked about how her character has a lot of self-respect and refuses to throw her life away for a man, even if that man is as charming as Benedict. So while Sophie is confident and strong-willed, she's also vulnerable and looking for love in her own way. That emotional mix could lead to some serious sparks between her and Benedict. Netflix has already locked in seasons 5 and 6, which is amazing news for fans because it means there's still plenty of story left to explore. Since the first 3 seasons covered Daphne, Anthony, and Colin's love lives, and now Benedict's taking the lead in Season 4, that leaves 4 more Bridgerton siblings whose stories are still on deck. Realistically though, the next ones up are likely Eloise and Francesca. That lines up with how the book series progresses too. While the youngest 2 siblings, Hyacinth and Gregory, are still growing up on screen, Eloise and Francesca are already stepping into adulthood, which makes them perfect candidates for the next chapters. In fact, by the end of Season 3, both Eloise and Francesca had left for Scotland, which opens the door for their future stories, and Season 3 already planted a few seeds. In the books, To Sir Philip with Love follows Eloise's romantic journey, which gets kickstarted after her friend Penelope marries Colin. The show has made a few tweaks to that arc, especially with Eloise discovering Penelope Whistledown's identity early on, which led to some serious drama. So depending on how the show wants to reconnect that storyline, they'll need to find a way to bridge what happened in Season 3 with what's supposed to happen in Eloise's book. But Francesca's story seems a bit more straightforward right now. Her marriage to John Sterling has already happened on screen, and viewers were even introduced to Michaela Sterling, a gender-swapped version of the book character Michael. That's a big change from the original novel. When He Was Wicked, where Francesca mourns the loss of her husband before falling for his cousin. Netflix flipping Michael to Michaela hints at a new take on Francesca's journey, and it seems like the show is already setting that up for a major emotional arc. Given how far along Francesca's storyline already is, Season 5 might center on her, with Eloise following in Season 6. It also wouldn't be the first time the series switched up the order of the books. For example, Season 3 focused on Colin and Penelope, even though their story originally came after Benedict's. Showrunner Jess Brownell explained that choice by saying their romance had been building since season 1, so it just made sense to explore it then. By that same logic, it makes more sense now to dive into Francesca's journey before Eloise's. And considering both women are currently in Scotland, the show has the opportunity to develop their parallel paths in unique ways. While Francesca starts her marriage and possibly sets the stage for future heartbreak, Eloise might begin forming the connections that lead her to her own romance later on. As fans eagerly await for Season 4's premiere, likely sometime in 2026, we've gotten a few updates to keep the excitement going. Nicola Coughlan, who plays Penelope, and Luke Newton, who plays Colin, were recently seen at the BAFTA Awards. They were nominated for Most Memorable Moment for their steamy Season 3 carriage scene. And although they didn't win the award that went to Strictly Come Dancing, they did give us a peek behind the curtain. Coughlan shared that they're still filming Season 4, joking that it's taking so long it's basically a full pregnancy. 9 months of filming for one season sounds intense, but Luke Newton later added that they're nearing the end of production, which is great news. Nicola also confirmed that the next season will introduce a fresh set of leads: Benedict, who we've grown to love, and the newcomer Sophie. She described it as having a bit of that Cinderella magic, which adds another layer of charm. As for her own character, she said Penelope is now a married woman, a writer, and also a mom to a ginger baby, which is just adorable. So what else can we expect in Season 4? Well, it looks like we'll be seeing more of our favorite couples. Colin and Penelope, aka Pollen, will be back, and viewers will get a better look at their married life and growing family. Meanwhile, Anthony and Kate's story isn't done either. They'll continue to bask in their newlywed bliss, and with a baby on the way, their family is growing too. Francesca and John's love story will also develop further before it hits that emotional turning point we mentioned earlier. That bittersweet build-up will likely set the stage for the heartbreak that comes later, and eventually the emergence of Michaela as Francesca's true love. In short, Bridgerton has no plans of slowing down. Each season keeps adding new layers while honoring the roots of the book series. The show may not follow the exact order or stick to every plot point from Julia Quinn's novels, but that's part of what makes it so intriguing. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below, so let me know what you'd like to see next. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay in the loop, especially if you want more updates on Bridgerton Seasons 4 and 5. Plus, I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's topic, so drop a comment and let's discuss. Now go ahead and hit that subscribe button, you know you want to.